Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
Daily habits and routines. You've got a best-selling book on habits and winning the day. I bet you get asked a lot about your own daily habits. What can you share with us about your daily routines? Like, how do you start your day? Is it different based off the day of the week or the season of the year, your writing season? And I just want to say, I really love the simplicity of the 3M framework. I mean, people have heard about SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-based, but you've got one that's meaningful, measurable, maintainable. I use that all the time. The 3M framework, I love it. So do you apply this to all of your habits? So, and how do you come up with the idea of the 3M framework? So I threw a lot at you, but your daily habits, how you start your day, is it different based off of the season, and then the 3M framework?
So I think, first of all, on an annual basis, my wife and I get away in December for 2 days. We calendar, we budget, and then I'll often come up with a word for the year or a verse for the year, and I'll sometimes identify an adventure and a challenge. So like last year, it was a bike century in Colorado. So you have to do some kind of annual planning, but then when it comes down to it, like I'll just share one habit, one daily habit. For me, a daily Bible reading plan is pretty center of gravity. And so I'll get my morning latte at Ebenezer's and I'll have it stack. While I drink that latte, I'll do my Bible reading plan. And that kind of gets me grounded at the beginning of the day. And then often for whatever that physical challenge is, I'll reverse engineer it with like a 6-month bike plan or running plan or whatever it is. And then I track it on an app like most people would. That's pretty key.
What's your word or scripture of the year this year?
And sometimes I double dip on these, but unoffendable is to the glory of a man to overlook an offense. That I want to try to be unoffendable, which in a culture that is pretty quickly, kind of everybody's canceling everybody else, I want to try to be unoffendable. And so that's a part of my mindset. And so there's a proverb that said the glory of a man to overlook an offense. And so that is how I try to live. Is it easy? No. And but I don't want to let a seed of bitterness get in my heart, which is really at the heart of please, sorry, thanks. That sorry piece of just constantly forgiving and apologizing and living in a place where I'm not offended.
Well, let's talk about please, sorry, thanks. You talk about going through a tough season. In the beginning, you got very vulnerable. I don't know if you can go more into that. And then when did these 3 words, like, this is it, I'm going to write a book on please, sorry, thanks. It's so simple, but then you made it so powerful.
Well, and you only need to be good at 3 things. If you're good at please, sorry, and thanks, I'm not worried about your relationships. I'm not worried about the culture or workplace, because those 3 things, if you're good at them, you're good to go. So nothing opens doors like please, nothing mends fences like sorry, nothing builds bridges like thanks. I want to be really good at those 3 things. I mean, honestly, had that thought probably 8-9 years ago, and then just kind of held on to it and felt like this is the moment. I think this is a cultural moment where probably need a rising tide of please, sorry, and thanks. And so it's an art and a science, and it really is kind of fun to personalize those 3 words and really put your fingerprint on them.
Love it. And then with win the day in your writing season, do it for a day. I want to go back to that for a second. You've created an ecosystem. You have journals, you have platforms. When did you decide you were going to do it for a day? Like, had you already written win the day and then saw the success and said, I got to create a 30-day challenge, and can you just do it for a day? Someone told me one time, Charlie, can you not do it for a day? But can you do it? Can you do it for a day? So when did you decide, I'm going to follow this up with that one?
Well, I think after I wrote The Circle Maker, and then I wrote a follow-up called Draw the Circle, the 40-Day Prayer Challenge. I think what I realize is that most of us, and you embody it, you exemplify it, that you probably, you need to do things in seasons. So like whether it's a 40-day prayer challenge or do it for a day, a 30-day habit challenge, there's something about having a time frame that makes it a little bit more manageable and maintainable.
Okay.
So that's where the idea came from.
So you weren't sick of win the day and ready to move on. You're like, I'm gonna write a second book on this and keep it going.
Well, no, I just felt like probably habit formation is worth 2 books.
Okay.
More than one. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Hey, what are some of the goals you haven't achieved yet? Your life goals that you're most excited about?
Wow. Okay, we're going big picture. I think some of those giving goals are going to take a long time to get there. To give $10 million away, you gotta make a little bit more than that. So that's one that I'm just always thinking about. But here's what I do, and this is critical, Charlie, because and I would put my pastor hat on here. I know people who say, when I make more, I'll give more. And I'll say to them, love you, but I'm not buying what you're selling. Because if you're not generous with what you have now, I'm not sure you'll be. So to me, it's not about making a lot to give a lot. It's about that percentage and just growing that percentage. And then there are a few other goals. A lot of those physical goals I've achieved, but then I timestamp some of them. There's some things I want to do in my 50s or 60s or 70s that kind of keep me moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, love it. What drives you? Who inspires you? Maybe it's your wife.
My wife is good as gold. You're not going to find someone with more authenticity or integrity than her. I would point back to Dick Foth, who actually 81 now. One of my favorite words is neoteny, retention of youthful qualities into adulthood.
Wow,
it's a
good.
zoological term. And he's 81 years young.
Oh, wow.
And so I want to die young at a ripe old age.
Love
and
it.
So that's kind of,
Okay.
I love people who they stay young.
If you could have dinner with anyone alive, who would it be?
Wow. Because I'm headed to the Cove, I wanted to pull out Billy Graham, but that's past tense.
Yeah.
That's
a good one.
That would. I'm a little bit better at the past tense.
Okay. So other than Billy Graham, and other than Jesus, who if any historical figure?
Oh man, I would sit down with Teddy Roosevelt in a heartbeat.
Really?
He read about 500 books a year as president.
Wow.
But was just he was a character.
Yeah.
Walked to the beat of his own drum. So
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt, I probably read 8 biographies. I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with Teddy Roosevelt.
That's a good one. How can people follow you or stay connected to you, Mark?
Yeah, markbatterson.com. And then I'm on all of those social channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Mark Batterson. And
I think I read on your Wikipedia page that you're like one of the early adopters and like using Twitter and social media and some of that stuff to put your stuff out there. And maybe you don't even do as much of it as you did 15 years ago.
We have tried to be early movers on different. Now we just need to figure out AI and metaverse, right? That's coming down the pipe. But
Well, when we're thinking in 70-year terms, those are going to be important topics down the road, so we're going to have to.
Yeah.
Mark, I've got so many more questions, but we're out of time. The time flew by. Thank you so much for giving time to be on the podcast, but really just spend time. I look forward to all of your next books that you have coming out, and you've given me so much inspiration, and hopefully that through what you've done, and I can help just advance the ball forward a little bit as well, and keep paying it forward. Keep up the great work. I just want to continue to pray for you, encourage you, and you've just got an awesome heart for the kingdom, and it's so inspiring. I love everything that you guys are doing, and just keep up the great work.
Hey, Charlie, back at you. Absolute joy and privilege, and man, thanks to those who got to the end of the podcast.
Yeah, well.
And I love it. What a fun conversation. God bless.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.